You're listening to She's Got Drive podcast, the podcast that inspires women to be the driver in their own lives through the life and stories of black women with drive. And I'm your host, Shirley McAlpine. I'm a business consultant, an executive coach, and a leadership facilitator, working with people and organizations to live their lives by design and not default. Welcome back to another episode of She's Got Drive. And this week, it is officially, we're in spring. And that means that we are coming to the end of the first quarter of 2019. And so I thought that, as well as kind of just celebrating longer days, it's still cold in Chicago, but, you know, the days are bright, the days are long. I thought that this would be a time for us to pause and review how we're doing on our goals for 2019. Now, I read a piece of research this week that says that only 5% of the population actually set goals in their life. Only 5%. And we know that it is when you set goals that you get closer to having the life that you want versus, as I keep talking about, the life that you have. You know, so it is when you bring intention, when you get clear about what you want and you start working towards what you want will start to manifest. So if you're working on your goals, you're within a small percentage of the population that does that. So congratulations on that. Now, because I did an episode last year called Keep Rocking Your 2018 Goals. And in that episode, I shared with you a model called the operating states. To be honest, what prompted me to repost this is about 3 weeks ago, I was working with a client and I included the operating states in a program that I was facilitating. And it reminded me that I had done an episode on it, and that it's a really good way of looking at the phases that you go through when you are implementing any project, any initiative, any set of goals that you're working on. So I thought this would be a good thing to repost. We're at the right time. Spring has another kind of refresh energy to it, and so this is a good episode. What you have in addition, though, is you'll have the operating states handout as well that you can download. The link will be in the bio for that. Not in the bio. The link will be in my show notes for that. And the other is you have your 4-step goalkeeper. So if you still haven't downloaded the 4-step goalkeeper to help you work on your goals and get clear on your goals, then the link is in the show notes for that. And that's shirleymcalpine.com/goalkeeper. That's shirleymcalpine.com/goalkeeper. And the operating states I'll have on shirleymcalpine.com/operating states as well. You can download that PDF as well as an accompaniment to this episode. So that's why I'm reposting. It's time for us to really stop, reflect, and see what's going on with what we created in 2019. And this is also time, remember, if you have set goals and you think, actually, there's something else that I really want to be working on, you can create a new goal. It's fine. There's no time in the year that you can't create new goals. But reviewing is a key skill and that you ought to be doing in life. You know, if you're working on anything that you're working on like that, building review time. The other thing that I want to just say is thank you to Black Enterprise. Gaynette Jones named She's Got Drive podcast as one of the top 20 must listen to podcasts for black women for 2019. And I appreciate you naming She's Got Drive. I love that you're a listener and that you're getting a lot from it. And that's just really cool when that happens. So She's Got Drive is in the company of Side Hustle Pro and Happy Woman Podcast, the Glow Up and Super Soul Conversation. So we're in really great company. I feel very proud of that. So thank you so much for naming She's Got Drive one of the must listens to podcast for Black women in 2019. Yes. Okay, so I'm now just gonna start the old episode. I know. So every time you hit 2018, substitute 2019. I hope that you enjoy the episode, and more importantly, I hope that you get going on implementing the operating states, because it will really help you achieve what you want in your life in 2019. Okay, great. Off we go. So I thought that it'd be really great to do an episode on just how to stay on track on your 2018 goals and what's important at this point in the game in the year, because the year for me is going so quickly. I don't know about you, but I can't believe that we are actually in April already. That if you're not careful, we'll be at the summer and we have not really been paying attention to causing the goals, and it becomes a distant kind of intention at the beginning of the year. So I thought I'd help us all out by just staying on track on our 2018 goals and some thoughts for that. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. Before we do that, I want to invite you to head over to my Facebook community page. I've started a community page. Join the group so that we can be sharing and building the community of She's Got Drive tribe. And if you're willing and able, please head over to iTunes and rate and review the show. That would be wonderful to do that. It is important for the show to help grow the show. And if you can rate and review the show, I would appreciate it so much. The link for the iTunes is in the show notes, as well as the link for the Facebook page and the Facebook community group is also in show notes. Okay, so let's get started on how to stay on track on your 2018 goals. What I'm doing today is I'm going to share with you the type of things that I do when I'm reviewing my goals at the end of the first quarter, and to give you some guide on what you can do and some questions you can be asking yourself. And the other thing that I wanted to introduce to you is there's this in trainer speak, in consultant speak, it's called models. A model around when you're operating inside of a new project or achieving goals. There's like phases that you go through to produce results, and I'm going to introduce you to that. It's called the operating states, and I'm going to deep dive into a couple of those because it will mirror the stages that you're likely to be at this point in the year. I'm not going to go into all of it because it's going to be too long, but I thought I'd introduce it to you, and then as we go through year, when I pick up this goal conversation again, I'll go back to the operating states again when it looks like you'll be around that phase. There'll be a PDF for you on the operating states high level that you can download as well from the show notes. The first thing you want to do is create the environment to do the work and set enough time aside to do the work. So I recommend that you set aside at least an hour to an hour and a half, preferably 2. Set that aside, create a lovely space. I always have classical or jazz music playing in the background. I have my humidifier on with some beautiful essential oils. There's one around for women for focusing. And so my environment smells lovely. I always have a lovely pot of tea, green tea, because I drink so much tea. I love tea. And you might have some snacks with you, but create it as a space and an experience that you want to be in, that you want to do. These are your goals that you have created for yourself and your life for 2018. And you want to honor it. Give it some space and yourself some space to do the work that you're going to do. So I create this lovely environment, and then pull out the goals that you set for yourself, and whether they are on your computer or they're on your wall, have a look at them and read through all of them all at once. So just do an oversight of all of them first to remind yourself of what you said that you were going to accomplish in 2018. And notice the little pieces of judgment that can come up as you read them. It's like, oh God, I don't know why I wrote that. Oh, that was amazing. That's inspiring. Oh God, I didn't want even close to that. I'm never going to get that. You know, whatever the thoughts that are coming up for you as you read them, just let them go. Just let them go. Don't let them linger around. But notice what's there, because it's really good information for you later when you're doing the review. Because if I believe that I'm going to achieve a certain goal, then the chances are I'm going to achieve them. If my inner voice is like, you're never going to do that, I don't know why I thought about doing that, then the chances are you're going to struggle to accomplish that goal. So as you do the high level read, just notice what are the things that are coming up for you as you read them. Okay. The next thing to do is you're going to acknowledge yourself for the work that you have done, however large or small the work was. So whatever action you did take, however large or small the action was on each of those goals, you're going to acknowledge and appreciate yourself for them. And so the question there is, what do you want to acknowledge yourself for under each of those goals? And it might be, if it's around self-care, I want to acknowledge that at least 4 times this quarter, I took myself to bed by 8 o'clock. I want to acknowledge that in the first part of the quarter, I did go to the gym for the first 4 or 5 weeks. I want to acknowledge myself. So whatever it is like that, you find something, you look at, I want to acknowledge that I did a juice cleanse this quarter. So whatever the action, large or small, you want to acknowledge yourself for. Okay. And then the next piece is you're going to ask yourself the following series of review questions to get to the heart of what actually happened in the last quarter around your goals. And where are you on your goals? So you go through each one. So the goal obviously sets where you want to be. So then you really look again. So what actions did you take? And what actions, you might also say, what actions did you not take? What actions did you take? What actions did I take then under that goal? So you go under each of them. Okay, what was I supposed to take and I didn't take? What did I accomplish having taken those actions? So you may not get your ultimate result, but you might have got partway through. So you might have seen that you've increased in some of the outcomes, but you're not really at the ultimate result, but you're moving. You might see that you planned for something, but you didn't follow through. You might see that you started, but you didn't follow through. You might see that you got scared about taking a particular action, if it meant phoning particular people, getting in contact with organizations, or having conversations with your line manager or people in your environment, and you think, well, I knew that I was supposed to do that, but I got scared, so I didn't do it. I felt disempowered and I didn't do it. What were the thoughts and feelings that you were having as you were about to take those actions that may have got in the way of you taking the actions, or that might have helped you? So what are the thoughts and feelings? Because some people are like, it comes up as really difficult, and they just get into action because they love that kind of challenge. They love proving to themselves like they can do it. And other people are like, it just gets in the way of them doing something because they're like, I can't do it. And then they don't. So you want to kind of determine what kind of person are you, and so what comes up for you. What are the thoughts and feelings that comes up for you when you look at what you planned to do and when you did it or not? Was there anything that showed up in the last quarter that you didn't anticipate? Were there new things that showed up that you didn't plan for, and that might have impacted in terms of the planning around time and the time that you allotted to do certain things? Had you overcommitted in terms of what you wanted to accomplish in the first quarter. Maybe you've looked at your goals, you think, my plan didn't break down enough into the 4 quarters of what I was going to do each quarter, and just hope that you would just take some actions. So that's something else. So was there something that came up that you didn't anticipate that was more challenging, or was there things that came out that you didn't anticipate that was just a wonderful opportunities that you took that meant that you couldn't take other actions that you planned for? Were there any great surprises that happened the last quarter? Were there any great surprises that happened the last quarter? Were there any new relationships that showed up in the last quarter? And then see what new, if it's for work and business, of course, were there new businesses that showed up, new opportunities that showed up around your work, new opportunities that showed up around, the things that you love to do, new insights about your future. A couple of more questions before the end of the questions for review. What actions did you know to do that you did not take? So the things that you knew that you should have done, that you thought, I've done this before, this produces this result, that you didn't take. I'll give you an example of that. Since Christmas until about, I want to say last week, my eating habits haven't really been what I know to do. I mean, I'm still fairly healthy, but I was eating in a pattern that I knew wasn't serving me, and I just didn't want to take the action that I need to do. Like, I know what to do about that, and I just kept letting it go, and then of course I gained weight, which I don't like. And as I gained weight, which I don't like, then then the inner critic is running riot. My inner voice is saying, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't eat that. Which is really disempowering. Until about a week and a half ago, I just thought, right, enough. I am not doing this. So I took the actions that I know to do, which is my juice cleanse. You might have seen I've been posting on Instagram around my juice cleanse and the impact on my juice cleanse. And I know that it's a way of getting myself back on track with my eating, that I'm eating much healthily again, that I lost the weight that I had gained for the most part. I lost like 8 pounds, 9 pounds in that juice cleanse for 5 days. And but more importantly, I lost the sugar grab that happens where I'm always reaching for that sugar that doesn't serve me, and bread that doesn't serve me. And so I'm back on track, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the inner voice has quietened down, so I don't have to deal with that each day. And now I've got more energy, and it's just helps me all round. So that's an example of something that you know to do, and that you did not, that you're not doing, and then you can take the action after that. So what actions? What is your contingency? So plan for, if that doesn't happen, then what could I do differently? If I get something else comes up, what's going to fall out of my plan? And that's really important too. So I'm clear about the level of commitments that I have around all my things that I want to do. And some things, there has to be some give somewhere. And I need to know what that is. So in the moment, there's some clarity about what I can drop away. Ultimately, we are moving towards as well. One question is, do I want to revise my goals in any way? Now, I want to be mindful of that question, because it's not from a fearful place that you ask that question. It's not from, I'm never going to achieve this, that you ask that question. But you might not want to revise the goals. You might revise the timeline to achieving those goals. But it's really important that you do a thorough review and you really sit with it and you sense into it, and really don't allow that to be your get out of jail card, Don't allow it to be that. really ask yourself the question, are these the goals that I want to be playing in 2018? And if you are clear that they are, then you recommit. And if you have some question, then you sit. I recommend you sit with it for a while. That leads me to sharing with you this model called the operating states. And it's a model that was created to mirror the kind of phases that happen as you are in a project, or in a project, whether the project is your life or whether the project is working on some initiative or something you want to bring to life as part of your work, or anything. There are stages that you go through, and this operating states is a way of you helping you understand what are the things you ought to be doing at the different stages. And stage one is formulation. It's the places where you create and form the thing that you're working on. Stage two is concentration, and that's the areas where you are just taking actions, and all that you're doing is taking actions, and that's your focus, and you just focus on what are the actions I need to take, and you take them. Stage three is momentum, and this is the thing where you are starting to leverage some of the energy of the actions that you've taken, and you're starting to see some of the results coming through. Stage four is stability, when you want to do things to maintain what you've created so far. So that's the place where you are thinking, how do I make sure that all that work that I've done so far is not going to be lost? And so what do I need to do? Are there new structures that I need to set up? Are there new people that I need to bring in? Do I need to reorganize my time in a way that makes sure that I can make sure that I can do these things well and continue to do these things well? Stage five is called breakthrough. And these are the things when you have been consistent with all the previous 4 stages, you'll notice there'll be what I call magical moments that happen in your year, in your goals, in your initiative, in your life, that is as a result of all the things that you've done to that point. And then the stage 6 is called mastery. And that's when you've been doing this for so long, you've put in the hours around the thing that you're working on, that there's an experience of that you have mastery over it, and that you can not only, you've got it for yourself, but you're able to impart that to others as well when you're at the level of mastery. And stage 7 and 8 are ones that are really there to signal when we are have pitfalls in our work. And the stage 7 is called emergency, when you start to notice you're slipping back, and you've stopped doing the things that you have been doing that have produced the results so far, and you start to slip back. You notice that you're slipping back, and then so they call that a state of emergency. And stage 8 is called danger, and danger is when you're slipping back two states. So you're not just you've stopped doing a number of things. So you're sliding backwards, and it's a way of saying stop. You're in danger of really like destroying all the work that you've done and producing the results that you've produced. And what happens when people are working on something is that they put in all these actions, and then they stop taking the action, and then they start to slip back. And before you know it, if you don't notice that and stop and then start doing the things that you know to do that got you to that place in the first place, then it will disappear, and then you start to fail. And then when you fail, then you think, well, it's no point, and then it's no point, and then you talk yourself out of it, and then before you know it, the goal's not have been accomplished, and you get disheartened. So it gives you some way of thinking about the spaces that you go through when you are trying to cause something new for yourself. And that's one of the things I love about this model called the operating states. So the beginning of the year, you were in formulation, you've created your plan, and then you move into action. And we are in really, really, so that's stage 2, which is concentration. So you've done formulation with stage 1. Stage 2, you start to get into action. You're in quarter 1. And you really, really, between quarter 1 and quarter 2, it's really concentration and moving into momentum. You're really just taking actions, and just keep taking them. And usually at this stage, you're taking more actions to produce one result in the concentration stage. So it may feel like so for example, if you are in sales and you need to sell something, you might have to do 10 to 20 calls to get one person to buy in the beginning. And eventually, when you get to momentum and stability, which are stages 3 and 4, that actually might reduce. You might actually do less calls in order to get 2 people to buy. So maybe 10 produces three people buying. And then you get to a place where it keeps going, where it's less, that's called breakthrough. So I say this is based on many, many, many different, research on many, many, many different projects and so on, and what are the phases that people go through. And if we have awareness of that, we understand that I need to do lots of actions around something before I can see the result. Before I can see the result called I am fit, I have to be in that gym many, 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 many hours before I do that. I have to run many hours before I can feel the ease of running a 5K race. You have to do a lot of miles before you can run a 5K easily. You have to do a lot of miles before you can run a marathon and finish a marathon. So life is like that. We have to put in many, many miles before we can feel the result and produce those results. And if we understand that, then we can encourage ourselves to really keep going on our goals. So those are the operating states. These are high level. I think maybe on another episode I might do a deeper dive on the operating states. But to understand that at this stage in the game, at this point in the year, for mostly you're in concentration and momentum. So you're in taking actions, and then you'll get some energy in momentum. There'll be little magical moments that start to happen, but you're still taking actions, but you'll start to see some flow at this point. But really, that's where we are as we head into quarter 2. And if we understand that, then it will encourage us to stay on track on our goals. And if you're beyond that right now and you're flying, all power to you. That's really, really great, and you really want to acknowledge yourself for that. But if you're feeling like, oh, I'm just doing all this stuff and I can't see any result, or then be kind to yourself, because you are exactly where you are meant to be in this process. If you're taking the action, just keep taking the action. If you stop taking the action, this review is your way of recommitting and getting yourself back in the game. Right, so now you're getting yourself back in the game for your 2018 goals. And I just want to point to a couple more things before we close out this episode. And the first is this: self-care, self-care, self-care. What are you doing around your self-care? How are you going to make sure that as you play the game to win at your goals, that you are paying attention to your self-care? I know that sometimes I need to instigate my self-care SOS, and which is, I have my certain practices that I do, that I bring in when I know that I need some self-care SOS, which I'm just in right now. It has been a fabulous first quarter for me. It has been an intense first quarter for me. I've had a lot of travel, more than my norm in my first quarter. And some beautiful surprises opened up in this first quarter. And at the same time, what it's meant is that I am more tired than I normally am at this stage. I can't afford to do that for many reasons. And so I'm instigating my self-care SOS, juice cleanse, getting myself to bed, doing those things. And I'm now going to start bringing back my yoga. My yoga practice fell out, so I'm going to bring back my daily yoga practice starting this week. There are a number of things. Again, that's another episode. If you haven't listened to that episode, I'll put the link. I'll name the episode that is in my show notes as well, because that episode that I published last November has 7 different things that I do around self-care, and you have to think about what are the things that you know to do around your self-care that you can do. So make sure you're paying attention to that. The other thing is, I have a question around what support do you need to win at your 2018 goals and to stay on track? So do you need peer support? Do you need support from people who are doing the same thing as you and playing the same game as you? So find your tribe. Do you need leader support? So if you're at work, is it support that you need from your leader, from your line manager? Or if you're in a business, do you need a mentor a business mentor who can support you? Do you need some sister support? Do you need to lean on your sisters a little bit more, make requests of them? Do you need to do a little girlfriend night or girlfriend weekend, or, just some sisterly love? Do you need some partner support? Are you asking enough of your partner to support you? Are you sharing with your partner what you're up to? So your partner support. Do you need other professional support? So are you doing too much? Can you bring in additional resources on what you're working on? Do you need a personal trainer if it's around exercise, or you're trying to figure it out yourself? Or, 1 or 2 sessions of a personal trainer setting you up for success, for example? Or do you need, someone who is, just someone to assist you? I've got a PA who really was a game changer for me when I started working with her. I think it was 18 months ago, an absolute game changer for me. And now I'm looking at what other support I need. I have a couple of other things that lining coming up for me, and so I'm looking at what resources I need in that. Do you need coaching support? I'm a coach, as you know, and I walk my talk. I get coached. So I know that there are sometimes the coaching is kind of in a personal coaching direction, and sometimes the coaching is more technical. When I know there are gaps in my knowledge and awareness around things that I need to do and accomplish, then I get myself a coach. I know that I don't know it all and I can't do it all, and I can increase my performance through coaching. So do you need a coach? Do you need to attend a program? Whether that's online program. Do you need to go to some conferences, but increase your education, your awareness and your knowledge, or your motivation? Being around other people who are up to the same thing is inspiring, so can get you into action. Basically, any support you can think of that's going to move you towards achieving your goals, identify what it is and go out and find it. We cannot do this alone. If you're trying to do this on your own, you're going to struggle through the year. So whatever goal you have for yourself, then find your support. I cannot emphasize that enough. Find your support, find your support, find your support. And my last guide on this, on how to keep your goals on track episode, is to remember to expand your networks. To remember to expand, it's kind of inside of the support, but a bit more than that. To expand the range of people that you know and the range of people that you're meeting, that you're actively engaged in that, in accomplishing your goals, particularly in the workspace, but in any spaces any commitments that you have. Let's talk about professional success though. If you recall when we did the pie episode, it was quite early on, 7 or 8. And it was based on Harvey Coleman's research that says that 60% of career enhancement success is down to our networks and down to our relationships, and building relationships so that it can expose us to newer people and new opportunities. 60%. And only as we get more successful, only 10% is really down to our performance. Our performance is table stakes. Our performance is like what gets us in the door. But it's our networking and our relationships and building our reputation, which was accounted to 30% was our reputation. So again, if you haven't listened to that episode, head back and listen to that episode, because it really is a game changer again. But if you can work on expanding your networks as well this next quarter and see how you go with that. And I aim for, if I can meet at least 2 new people a month, I do more than that. But, I committed last year that I actually once a week, if I have 1 new contact a week, or rekindle a contact, 1 new person a week, I thought that's totally a doable and winnable game for me. And I've gone beyond that, in fact, over the last year, and it has been amazing what difference that has made to my work and what difference that's made to my life, because I've expanded my sister friends so much, I cannot tell you, and it's feeding my soul. So, your network, and really just lean into expanding your networks, and you'll see the difference that makes to accomplishing your goals. Okay, so that's it. That's how to stay on track on your 2018 goals. I hope you found it really helpful, and you can do that practice. Remember, it's going to take at least an hour to an hour and a half, preferably 2 hours if you can find that time, and create a lovely environment, lovely food, lovely smells, lovely tea or water, whatever you like to drink, and sit down and do that work, and then just rekindle the fire on your 2018 goals if they need rekindling. But even if they don't need rekindling, even if you think like, I'm good, I'm loving my goals, it's always important to review, because you're finding what's working and you're finding what's not working. And if you find what's working, you keep doing what's working. And if you find what's not working, you stop doing what's not working and you move forward. So I'm wishing you all the best with your 2018 goals. Share with me what you're getting from this episode. Share with me how you're doing on your 2018 goals. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you about that. I hope that you've been inspired to shift gears in your own life. You know that I love to hear from you, so head over to Instagram, where you can message me on Instagram at Shirley McAlpine. You can find me on Facebook at She's Got Drive Facebook page. The link is in the show notes. And you can also find me through my website, shirleymcalpine.com. I will have a link to the PDF for this episode that gives you a guide on staying on track for your 2018 goals. And I am excited to hear what's showing up for you. I love it when you're in contact with me. Don't forget to rate and review the show if you're feeling that too. And I look forward to being back next week. She's Got Drive is produced by Cassandra Bortolina. The music is by the awesome all-female band Blonde. Until next time, thank you again for listening. Go well and stay well.